Somebody want to rise to the pledge of allegiance, please?
I did too, I was like.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Meeting is called to order with the following answering roll call.
Mayor Ridenhour.
Here.
Earl.
Here.
Ewing.
Here.
Harden.
Here.
Knox.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Zimmerman.
Minutes of the previous meeting were read and approved. So approved. Fiscal officer report.
$1,562,344.78 in all funds, $241,322.99 in the general fund.
Any additions?
No additions.
Bills were read. Resolution 16-6-1 was adopted on motion by.
I'll second.
Earl.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Ewing.
Yes.
Harden.
Yes.
Knox.
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Okay, no guests this evening. Let's go to committee reports. Okay.
One question about the storm sewers. Did you say something about cleaning that manhole out down there for the catch basin?
I'm guessing that's are you talking the one down there by
Rex Modders?
Modern? We was discussing that, trying to determine, we think that's just a culvert going under there, isn't it?
No, there's a steel grate in there, I think.
But I think it's just stoned up
I'm
around.
gonna check it, I'm going from memory, but I'm thinking that's a culvert that goes under the road, just a transfer through there, and I think it's on private property. And I think, and you indicated there was corn stalks on it. I mean, I don't think it's a village storm catch, I think it's a culvert that's private property. And somebody was telling me that ODOT put that through there sometime when they was doing the road, and we can look into that, but I don't think it's, I think it goes the other side of the road, and it may catch a storm over there, and then go out into the system, but I think that's just a culvert under the road.
I think it's got a metal grate on it, because I have cleaned it before in
It
past
does have
years.
metal grate on it,
Yeah.
but I think it's laid up like around rocks or something, and I think they did it because of the farm debris. But, I think that is private property, but we can look at that.
Yeah, I didn't have a match with me. I was mowing a ditch the other day. I was gonna light them off, burn them out. I could see it was about a foot deep in there.
Or get off and just move them.
Yeah. I can do that, I guess. I leveled the ditch with my tractor last week because I got tired of bumping on it. I just put my blade on, went down through there and leveled it out, so. Didn't get in trouble for that, so I guess it wouldn't matter if I burnt them corn stalks with it, so.
It was awful deep there across the road in front of right down there where Brian Davidson lives at too.
Yeah, I seen you with your oar going through there.
I was praying I wouldn't get
Car.
stuck because I can't swim.
Yeah, we had a lot of rain in a short period of time, but it went away pretty quick.
Yeah, I think somebody said we got 2 inches in 20 minutes or something, and that's kind of classifies as a flash flood. But I don't think we pumped any water, everything was gone quickly, and I haven't seen anything where it shouldn't have down.
Right.
It went down real fast in my backyard and I had a pretty good size puddle out there. But it went down quick. Ground was really thirsty.
Okay, anything else? If not, well, go ahead.
I have one thing, being on the park committee, I was wondering if we could look into the possibility of getting some kind of sign which identifies the park a little bit better. If you're driving by there, people may not know that that's a park. And if you have people coming into town for some reason, they're supposed to be at the park, they're able to drive right by it. So, I was wondering if we could get some kind of sign that says, like Waynesfield Park, that's easily
Just in
seen.
curiosity, do we have a name for the park? I know there's a Red Range Field and something else. This is Waynesfield, is it Waynesfield Park, or is there a identifying name? Some parks say Memorial Park,
That's a good question, because I've had several people ask me how they come up with Heritage Park here a while back in something, I don't know.
I don't know if there is a name, but if we put together a sign for your approval, we'd like to know what to label it. And I've never heard, other than the Ball Diamond Red Range Field, it says that on the center.
Yeah.
Well, with the memorial going in right at the entrance, I kind of vision, Waynefield Memorial Park, that would include the whole.
But I'm just saying, if you give us something to present to you, then we can, because I think if you're gonna do that as an entryway, you'd want an attractive sign. So it probably ought to come back to the committee to recommend, or the committee come up with a concept, I think it ought to be something that, not just put up a sign with letters, that you would come up with a design and something that would
Right,
be more of a
right.
permanent structure.
Right, right.
Is that what you're envisioning?
Yeah, because I know the poker run, there's several people that went right by it. They didn't realize that that was the park until
Well, and
they.
it may be, even on that grassy area out in front of the playground area, is be set back to where it's not an obstruction.
Right,
But yet definitive, because the memorial for the veterans is on the other side, so it wouldn't be conflicting.
right.
But maybe not too much, you don't want it too busy, but I mean, these are just ideas I'm throwing out.
I just thought,
Bring it up.
start looking into it, to help identify
So
it a
you're
little
on the
bit better.
committee for the park?
Yeah.
I'll look forward to your recommendation.
Right on it.
What's the name of that street or alley that you turn off of right there?
Park Drive.
Park
Yeah,
Drive.
well, we get the new Park Street put up there, the big, it gotta be capital letters or? not
There is,
just
it says Park Drive now, but,
Mhm.
Yeah.
People drive awful fast down through there whenever there's ball games and stuff. Awfully fast.
Races
Hmm?
and the races.
Yeah. They think they're
We
always
try
down
to
there.
slow them down.
I thought about throwing some rocks at some people because they were going really fast, but I was good girl, didn't do it.
Stretch your arm out and throw it anyhow.
Oh, I'd hurt myself if I threw one anyway.
Police report?
For the record, we do patrol South Westminster rather heavily, and there have been a lot of people, even tonight, that have noticed our presence down there and their excessive speeding. As far as my report goes, I just want to give an update about the 318 East Wapakoneta Street address. On June 21st, there was a pretrial held between our solicitor and Mr. Duggan's attorney. At that point, Mr. Duggan's attorney was given an offer to avoid criminal prosecution. On June 23rd, our solicitor sent a letter to Mr. Duggan's attorney as a follow-up advising the village would dismiss the charges against Mr. Duggans if he has his property cleaned up and in compliance with village ordinances prior to the trial date, which is scheduled for July the 12th. We are awaiting response from Mr. Duggans and his attorney in reference to the offer. I can report as late as earlier this morning, I spoke with a representative of an auctioneering company that will be having an auction at that property on July the 30th. They reached an agreement in writing as of yesterday, and Mr. Duggans will be having an auction. It's my understanding all the contents as well as the property itself will be auctioned off to the highest bidder. Canine fundraising update. Fundraising has started for the fundraising started the first part of June for a new canine for the police department. Thus far, we've received several $1,000s. Though we're still shy of the goal amount of $15,000, we are exploring a couple different fundraisers, such as a golf outing, to raise additional funds. On June the 2nd and 3rd, I participated in a county-wide traffic enforcement detail as part of the Click It or Ticket campaign and the Ohio State Highway Patrol's Safe Driving Habits Initiative. For those 2 days, I was granted an expanded jurisdiction by Auglai's Sheriff Al Solomon, allowing me to patrol outside the village. This effort was to show cooperation among agencies and use our resources to encourage safe driving practices, enforce high-risk driving habits, and attempt to locate drugs and other felony cases in the county. I still provided coverage in the village though, and I did patrol in Wayne, Goshen, Union, and Clay townships. Both days were worked as overtime, and the 28 hours I worked is being reimbursed by federal grant monies the Highway Patrol was able to obtain. That way the village didn't have to cover the cost of the detail. The Waynesfield PD recently awarded the First Good Neighbor Award for 2016. The Muchinippie Garden Club received the award after seeing their hard work tending to flowers and landscaping in numerous locations in the village. Here at our municipal building, at the park, the library, and they recently acquired a Lions Club. They're now doing the landscaping for them. The 19-member club was more than deserving because they have really made the properties much more attractive and inviting. A presentation was made with a certificate of recognition and a Walmart gift card being awarded to the group, followed by a brunch held here at the municipal building. Lastly, we've arrived into the summer months and our call volume clearly indicates that. This past month has been exceptionally busy with various calls from domestic incidents to structure fires and vehicle accidents. My working hours continue to be varied and try to accommodate some of those issues, however, it has been somewhat challenging with the amount of calls coming in at all hours of the day and night. I do want to pass along, just before the meeting, I got a text message from the fire chief. He wanted to commend the village and thank the village for the recent structure fire they had out on Moyer Road. A large quantity of water was used during that time, and he said the cooperation among the village and the fire department was excellent, and he greatly appreciates the support.
Any questions?
Yeah, I have one. I'll be the naysayer about the dog. I have a lot of people ask me, why don't we just sell some of this government equipment we're sitting on and buy a dog, buy 2 dogs if that be the case? Why are we trying to get funds from people when we're very clearly sitting on the funds that could buy one?
Well, the way I look at it, the amount of funds that have already been generated by the general public indicates that, for the most part, the public wants to have a canine again. And the village will probably need to have some type of a commitment toward having enough funds to make it happen. Now, how we do that, whether it's selling equipment or whatever it may be, we'll have to look at it and see where those funds can come from to get it done.
I'm just passing on what stuff people say to me. You know. I'm all for a dog, don't get me wrong, so.
Okay.
But I just think we could just buy one and be done with it. And back to the water and this fire we just had. First time I went in Van's restaurant, probably in 2 years. I was in there the other day and a lady come in and jumped all over me about the water and said that the city has a person in her family on the fire department, and the city was basically cutting them off of water because the towers were getting low. I said, I don't know, you know, I'd be the last person in the world to know anything about that, and I don't know that it happened or it didn't happen. But my question is, and it's probably a liability reason, why can't we have a 4-inch valve back there by the well field where those guys could fill up with untreated water?
Well, every community, every village, city, they have a water system. And that's why there's fire hydrants where they're located. Asking somebody to go to our water plant to fill up during a structure fire.
I think it's an emergency, and that's why they're staged strategically.
Yeah.
Even Mr. Harden mentioned to me a couple years ago that he was very concerned about the snow in front of his house, because if he had a fire, he wanted them to be able to get to it quickly He didn't want them to go down to the park and get untreated water. He wanted them to get it right there, right now.
Right, and you told me they wouldn't use that one on my house.
That's what I was
on
told. I'm
fire.
not a fireman, but I'm just
Well,
telling you, that was your
typically for,
concern.
like a structure fire at your property with a hydrant right in front, no, they probably wouldn't use it. They'd use one far enough away.
That they would, yeah.
Yes.
And that's what a
but
fireman
still.
told me, but in our conversation, you was very adamant that you wanted that availability because of your concern for loss.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I wasn't just concerned about my house, I was concerned about every fire hydrant in town. None of them were getting shoveled out at the church.
but to go back to the water thing, no, there was never any indication from me about deterring any water. Matter of fact, we monitored it for 16 hours. I think it started at 10 p.m. the night before, and we flowed somewhere in the neighborhood or excess of 480,000 gallons. We flowed almost 500,000 gallons of water,
Yeah, that's a
and
lot.
a tribute to our system, because it was an excellent, able to perform. Now, at the end of the day, maybe shortly close to it, by that time, when you're running 480,000 gallons, that's equivalent to a couple water towers being drawn down and what we were producing. Plus another thing that, I'm not a fireman, but the way I was understanding it, they were using as many, Nate, you may have to help me, as many as 8 water trucks.
Well, I seen 6 inside of 5 minutes when I
And
come.
so they were doing what they call 4-minute turnarounds, because they had dump troughs out there. So we were flowing in excess of every 4 minutes, 2,000 gallons. These guys were doing a tremendous job, and so was our people monitoring it. Now, after 16 hours, our levels were starting to get low to maintaining, to where we were saying, okay, we're looking at it. And we told the fire department, if this continues, you may have to look for another water source, which sometimes I'll go to a pond or those type of things, because we were looking at not critical, but we were getting down to where we're saying we're concerned. 16 hours at 480,000 gallons.
Well, and we had to provide for the village itself
Yeah.
as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, I would say they probably misunderstood what was
And at
said.
no point in time did we say we were shutting off, but what they did say, they encouraged them at this point, because they were kind of monitoring it 16 hours later, trying to keep it down, that they talked about, and they did do, they went down to lesser amount of trucks because they didn't need as many tankers, and then they spread it out instead of a 4-minute turnaround to, I think, maybe an 8-minute turnaround. So that allowed us to start balancing back out. So this is just coordinated effort, and I think that's why the chief, the fire chief, talked to Nathan, was complimentary, because it was a work in progress together to make sure that that crisis was maintained to the best ability, and also maintain our system. I'm very pleased to say that in that period of time, we never did get critical. We got down to where it was concerning, but we maintained for 16 hours.
And
so-
none of our equipment failed, which, you know.
And
could
to
have.
meet that, they did draw from different places as far as to get quickly back.
Yeah, I see.
So it would have been almost, it would probably been devastation if we would tell them to go down and get untreated water. Going back to what the mayor says, I don't know of any system anywhere where they, other than unless they go to a pond and draw out of it that way, where a city, village provides an untreated source. I think that's just a given. I don't know that it's possible.
Yeah, I know when I used to work for Lovett's in Bell Fountain, we used to, for their hog farm, they hauled water to their hogs, and, what's the name of that town just south of Bell Fountain, East Liberty? The big firehouse right here, big brick building, they had one there that was untreated. We used to go in there with semi and just get water, you know, and that, they had a tank up there and just would fill it in no time, but, I know it's, some places do that, I'm not,
Right.
you know.
Well, that's why there are
Well,
some
I
areas.
could
that-
understand something like that, because it would be a non-emergency thing, you kind of
Mhm.
lumber in, pick up what you need and leave, you know, but a situation like we had, clear through the night and everything, these trucks just back and forth, need water. I think our system.
I mean, and honestly, in the
Well-
last, and I'm just speculating, has it been a year and a half when we talked about the Fetter fire, the Doty fire, and this fire, catastrophic losses that, you know, quickly getting the water as much as they can is very imperative for, you know, to maintain that crisis. And I'm pleased to say that at no time has the village failed to meet that need.
I was kind of concerned about the runoff from it, you know, that runs downhill into that ditch and it ends up in much, and it, you know, well, that's a lot of,
water.
you know, a lot of ashes. Yeah, I can remember when the elevator burned here, they brought the big aerial thing from Walk Walk and sucked the old water tower dry, buddy. Yep.
And that's probably why you built the new one,
Yeah.
because it couldn't maintain.
Yeah.
That had been
Well,
$75,000.
according to EPA standards, we did not have an adequate water supply for the village without a fire. So that's,
Yeah.
that was part of it.
So and part of my report was to, and I appreciate the chief bringing that up, and was to say that I think it was a very good and effective coordinated effort between, I didn't hear of a lot of congestion. It sounds like they routed them very effectively in a circular motion, and they got them in, got them out. It was, I understand it was hay burning. I chose not to go out there because it was being maintained. We took care of our end. Didn't feel like they needed any additional pouring in at that time, and so we let the experts handle that. And we just communicated, one of our employees is a fireman, and he actually worked that fire, and commend him for taking his time to do that. And so we had a person that was communicating with us directly and with the fire department, so we felt like we had a good line of communication. But I can't really speak to the particulars because I didn't go out there.
Okay.
Moving on, if we're okay, I did get an email from Doug Reinhardt just today that the Northtown project was approved by the commissioners. We were waiting for, part of that process was to go through the commissioners' approval.
We're talking
Stormwater
stormwater,
project
okay.
that's gonna take effect down there. So that has been approved, and I think there's another reading in August, is what he told me. So he will be dropping off all the particulars. He's connected with all the people directly involved with that. And so I'll update you probably in August about the timeline when that will start. What I would like to ask the council is that we have talked about on several occasions, off and on and off the record, but our backhoe situation has been a problem since I've been here. I think it was old when the village got it, and I think they had it since the 70s. And we've often talked about replacing it as being that it's on its last leg. So what we did was we waited until we could put it in the budget, and I even talked about this last year. We put it in the budget for this year to purchase a mini excavator that would replace the backhoe. And but we wanted to wait until this time of the year to get halfway through so we could kind of see how the budget was going, because you can always appropriate and plan, but some things could happen that change that. It's not practical to do. But we've been able to watch it and all the preparations in place, and to where I can come to you and I can ask you to consider it. We get a government reduction on equipment through approved vendors, and Bobcat is one of them. Matter of fact, a lot of our equipment is Bobcat that was purchased with the Board of Public Affairs at one time. And but this mini excavator, I don't know what the price would be without the government discount. It's substantial. Within our cost, it's a 42 horsepower is $43,995. Bobcat is willing to give us a $4,500 trade-in on ours. We've been looking online, we've been doing cost comparisons, and it's right in the ballpark for the age and the quality of it. And really, there's no, I mean, you could take it and you could set on it and try it, and you could, but they give us a trade-in value based on the same thing. They're just gonna pass it through, and but they're willing to give us a $4,500 trade-in for an end result of being $39,495.40. And I have a spec sheet here that you can pass along that of the equipment. Now, you have seen us use mini excavators many times. We'll rent them because a lot of our need, the backhoe just won't do it or won't perform. So we know the need is there, and many of you do because you've seen us rent them and use them for specific jobs. And I think this is the appropriate time to request us owning it and having it available for us at all the time. But it would be for your consideration. If you would be in favor of it, we did draft a resolution through the attorney's office that would be the language for that. And
Mike, doesn't that have to go out for bids if it's over 25,000?
No.
Not anymore?
not anymore. They raised it to 50,000.
Oh, okay. It used to be.
Sure did. Good memory.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
This is a piece of equipment that is not the largest one, but it's not the smallest one. It's a good in-between size. We've utilized this size. This has a hydraulic capability that it can even accept if we would ever choose to, with the lagoons now growing and the mowing growing, with the banks and so forth. But I do think that that's going to be structured to where it doesn't really take special equipment. But they can put what they call a flail mower on this, and this is something you would see like along the state where they have this mower that's on a boom that we're reaching out and mowing on the side of a bank. This piece of equipment has the hydraulic capability of doing that we're not getting it with it. But I'm just saying, we didn't feel like we wanted to get something that later on, if we wanted to use attachments on it. One thing nice about these pieces of equipment, they're like our Bobcat, where you can use different pieces of the attachments. And you don't always have to own all of them, even though we do own a lot of attachments. We can rent those on a case-by-case basis. And so we've done that. So,
Is this new, Fred?
yes, it's brand new.
It doesn't say how much it weighs. That's usually how they measure these
I'm
things.
sorry if I don't see it on there.
What's the depth, capacity it'll dig?
I want to say that's 14 feet. Now, they do have one that's an extended boom. If it's not, it's 12. I get them sometimes confused, because we were looking at what they call an E35, a 42, and then they make one larger than that, they have a 45. This is the one that we feel like it would get between the properties, be able to get in and out cleanly. And we have found that using an excavator has been very nice as far as property damage and convenience, and it's just so much handier.
And you have a trailer to move it on?
No, we don't.
I hope you're figuring on that.
We've talked about even building one or looking at that, because you're right. We definitely want a trailer. When we bring one in, a lot of times I'll bring my trailer in so that we can haul it around. And
I've been wanting a trailer for the skid loader ever since we bought it, and I don't know why they fight you on that. It takes all of 3 seconds to load one.
no, I agree, because when my trailer's here, a lot of times I'll bring mine, drop it off. We use it to move it around a lot, because especially excavators, but the problem is, and I don't have a problem with the town using it, but this 42 is too big, I think. We need one a little wider.
But definitely needs a trailer, because, I mean,
I
it
agree.
just,
I totally agree. And we talked about that, Mike.
Right, and we talked about trying to convert some of our equipment that we have to be able to do some of the jobs that we need to do. You know, we've talked, just like on a dump truck, occasionally we could use a bigger dump truck. Not all the time, but occasionally. Well, we don't want to spend the money to own one. But we do have chassis, cabin chassis, that if we bought a bed.
When we were looking at for part of the
Yeah.
equipment you were talking about, there's one particular chassis out there that would be ideal for a dump bed. It's a Freightliner chassis. So we've talked about utilizing that, taking the one bed off of it, putting
yeah.
a dump bed.
I always wanted to do that with the excellent dump bed that we did have, and we had that old line truck, that auger truck that had like no miles on it. They could have just took the digging, but that was way over everybody's head at the time.
Yeah, I'm very much in favor of being able to do that. You know, some of the, just like the Freightliner that we have, cabin chassis, it's got the snorkel thing on it. Well, the usefulness of that for us, not so much. But you take that off and put a dump bed on it, we've got a great piece of equipment for not much money with no miles
And then
on it at all.
you can do it, you got the manpower and the equipment to do it with, but
And same way with the trailer, Fred and I have discussed that we want to be able to come up with something that we can run an excavator up on, or the Bobcat, or any piece of equipment to be able to motivate through town.
Yep.
Uh,
It's a lot safer. I see that skid loader running down the street in front of my house all the time, and, you know, semis come rolling into town and stuff. I mean, of course, a skid loader, you could jump out of the way a lot faster than you could on that excavator.
Well, and it doesn't have the road speed that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It just- you can't get out.
We don't wanna do that. I mean, we would try to find some axles if there was something together. With this, Jill can speak to it better. What we did was, as you know, we have equipment money in all of our funds. So you spread it out and you do your budget. But we did that knowing that we had to cover all of our areas. This is gonna be covered by different departments, you know, water, sewer, electric, and storm. But in order to write this, we have to pull those equipment funds into one fund to write the check if you approve it. I'm not saying you're gonna approve it, if you approve it. So our next part of that request would be for you to, they're all equipment monies, it's not taken from something else, and just combine them.
You have
to
to
get
transfer funds into a certain
to-
account.
to-
That's what these 15 things are.
Yes, but
Now-
Jill can speak to that better than I can.
I have one other thing. I was always told, and I always was under the assumption that we couldn't trade anything. We could take bids on buying something and take bids on getting rid of something, but
Now, we're allowed to trade, we're allowed to transfer to other municipalities. We're just not allowed to
Or
publicly
Is that-
sell.
is that right?
Without doing an auction, giving everybody an opportunity.
But as a trade-in, I think the attorney, we could do a trade-in. to
and I'll tell you what, all the years I've been in politics in Waynesfield, I thought that was not allowed. Like if Nathan wanted to get a new cruiser, he couldn't just take that one and trade it. He'd have to take the bids, buy the cheapest one, and take the most that anybody bids on that one.
Well,
I guess Judy would probably answer that question as good as anybody.
Normally, we've never had very much equipment or anything that had enough value that anybody gives
That
a
might
trade
be
in
good.
for.
There may not have been any value to it, because as you know, with this piece of equipment, it's all it's worth. I mean, based on what they-
Yeah.
I just don't wanna do something wrong, because that's the way I was raised, I guess.
I was just gonna say, we can double check that for you, Fred, but I think you can do that as a trade.
I was under the impression that Dave offered it, and he deals with municipals everywhere, you know, with Bobcat.
Yeah,
So, I mean, he made the offer to trade in for that reason.
we can double check it if you want.
Well, one thing that we did do, I was very adamant with Fred that we did whatever we could to make our old piece of equipment more desirable, like make it so the brakes worked and different things.
We've
which
spent a
we
lot
did.
of time and
We
man-hours
did,
working on
and
it.
that
Freeing
brought the
things up,
value up some.
But it's really loose, it's very tired, it doesn't have a lot of digging torque, I mean, it just, and when you go into somebody's property, as you know, manipulating the backhoe, takes 40 acres.
That's, what is that, a 63 or 64 year?
74, I think.
Yeah.
I think the serial number showed it somewhere between 71 and 74 and 75.
Oh, yeah, it could be, that's right.
Because that's what we did, was we ran the numbers, then did comparisons, and, but